Hey everyone, this is Stan. This is a very quick video on something that I normally don't post videos for, but I thought this might be useful for someone, so I thought I would make a little short video on this particular modification. This is my son's Crytek CRB that has a Polar Star jack installed, and normally when you install the Polar Stars, the FCU is mounted in the back of this buffer tube here, and you get access through it in here, which means that when you want to modify or change the FCU settings, you're going to have to pull it out, pull your stock off, and make your changes to it, tuck it back in. So if you're trying to do any of this in the field, that might not be such a good idea if you're under fire or in a tight spot. So I thought I would see if I could come up with a way for him to have easier access to the FCU without having to get in there that way. There's different things you could do, but my approach was pretty simple. He has a scope mounted to it. I use the existing mounting holes for the to clamp it to the rail with as the mounting for the enclosure for the FCU and the LiPo battery. It's very simple. All I did was 3D print this enclosure, installed the battery here, a little bit of room in the middle here for wire connections, and then of course the FCU is right here. It's easy to get to. I have neodymium magnets, one here and of course one underneath side of this lid, so that it closes and holds very snugly. Works really well. I did consult with the folks at Polar Star just to make sure that these neodymium magnets would not interfere or affect the performance of the processor. And they emailed me back. They had to do a little bit of research, the guy that I spoke with, and he came back and confirmed that it would not, that this would be fine. The program is not stored in EEPROM on these chips and with any type of magnetic type memory, so the magnet does not interfere with its performance. If you wanted to, you could glue the cable to the bottom with some hot melt glue or some other type of adhesive. That would help kind of hold that a little more stationary. My son said he didn't have any issues with it just like this, but perhaps that would make it a little bit more secure. I had to make a cable extension to connect to the existing FCU cable so that I would be long enough to extend out and come into this enclosure here. I had to cut a couple of slots in the tube, the buffer tube. One in the back here, the original FCU cable that comes out from the Polar Star jack comes out here. Then I can connect my extension cable to it, tape it up, tuck it back in, and then this other slot, which is actually behind the locking washer that goes in here, the screw where you actually clamp this to the back end of the gun here. I have this slot behind it, and then the cable comes back out and into the enclosure. As I mentioned, I made the extension cable for the FCU myself. You can actually purchase these online. I believe Polar Star sells these, and you may even be able to buy a longer one than standard that may reach all the way up to the FCU from here. I'm not sure. I purchased these connectors online from either eBay or Amazon. If I find out where I got them from, I'll share that in the link below. And I bought these crimp tools. I mean, if you don't want to spend the money on this, you're better off to just buy a pigtail cable, an extension cable yourself from somewhere. and just use that instead. It does not cause any problems when you're using the gun. It really is not in the way. He had no problems with it when he was using it in the field. Seemed to work for him very well. This is something I wanted to do to give folks an idea on what you can do for mounting the FCU outside of the buffer tube. Another option, and I started to go down that path, is my son's original stock was actually a little wider than this. I was actually going to cut into the side of this and hinge this and have the FCU and the battery underneath there. Again, for quick, easy access. But that would take more time to design that, to make that work. I was under a little bit of a time constraint, so I went with the easiest approach, and that was just to mount it on the side here like this. I also mounted a couple of O-rings here so that when you're sliding your stock on, if you slid it all the way up too far forward, you don't want to damage your wiring. So the O-rings act as a stop for the stock. And for most folks, you don't even slide it up this far typically. They're back in here somewhere with the end of it. But anyway, so that's what I did there to protect the wiring. Something else that you can do here, instead of using O-rings, if you don't have these available, you can also use electrical tape. Just wrap this a few times, and that will prevent this from sliding up and hitting and damaging your wires. I also wrap the wiring with PET braiding. Basically it's this. You can get a roll of that. For anybody that's seen any of my other videos know that I really like to use this for cable and wire management. It makes everything look much neater. And it also provides a good form of protection, which you definitely need. But that's it. I just thought I would share this.